what, brother? I thought Ridley was going to be with us today. Mr. Mark Ridley was going to be with us today, and I realized that we kind of skipped a week, so it's just us. So
Yep.
today, wins and losses Friday. What worked? What flopped? What did we learn? And what can help us move forward?
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
What? You see that double whammy this morning on a Friday, brother? We
I
threw a wins
love
and
it.
losses, and then we threw a little
I
little
know, just
HPLS.
dropping them. I mean, they're just
Oh,
dropping. Good
I know,
morning,
I know.
Lisa.
Good morning.
She
Good
is
morning.
always. I,
So,
I, I'm
wins
gonna.
and losses.
I might have to
Go.
hold Lisa to always being the first one to say good morning. She is always, and it's
Yeah.
crazy, guys. She
It's like
is.
her and Jeff go back and
Yeah,
forth
her
with
and
the
Jeff
good
are. It's a
mornings
battle,
first.
but
Yeah.
she's. Oh, it's so funny. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
she says win already. Quality time with client in town from Kansas. Nice. That's a
That
good.
is
You know what?
awesome.
After the last two
That is
years,
awesome.
that's a great win. That's a great win. Yeah. And you know what? Make that quality time. I mean, I it was one of my most favorite things to bring
Right?
clients in.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was also really cool to like go out for lunch, do an extended lunch on a Friday afternoon on a patio when it's beautiful sunshine and just chat and have the deep conversations. But
Yeah.
when you bring customers, I can remember, I'll share a story quickly. So,
Yeah.
sometimes, um, seeing is believing, right? And then Wayne Dyer says you got to believe it before you see it.
Uh
But
huh.
seeing is believing. I remember when we first started moving stuff with Dell Computer, based on transit when we would leave Austin, Texas, and Nashville, it would put us in the GTA in the Toronto area, like right in the heart of traffic, like GTA gridlock, kind of like California gridlock, LA traffic.
Oh man.
And I don't know if you've ever experienced, I mean, I'm sure every state, city has major traffic, but I think our infrastructure up here is a good 20, 25 years behind. So our population's grown for 25 years, but our road infrastructure hasn't, right? And
Not
I
good.
can remember because we would actually give them satellite access. So, and we're talking, gosh, 20 years ago almost, like when very few people had satellite access.
Yeah.
So the guys over at UPS Supply Chain Solutions were able to literally watch our trucks go down the road. And I remember a buddy of mine there calling me and saying, "Okay, dude, something's going on. Like your truck has moved 2 miles in the last 2.5 hours, 3 hours." And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I remember because we flew him in to Toronto, and when we flew him in, his plane landed at 4:30, right? And so in the heart of like
Oh
the
man.
traffic area.
Rush.
So it's funny because it was all planned. Like I totally planned his flight to land at 4:30. Um, and he got out of the airport, waited for his luggage. We got in the car. So we get in the car about 5:15 and we are gridlocked. Our office is literally 2 miles from the airport. And it was like an hour and a half to get there, right?
Oh,
And we're in the car and we're about half an hour in the car. And I'm just creating small talk. I'm not saying a word. And like traffic's going, eh,
oh,
eh,
that's so
eh.
funny.
And I remember him looking over at me and he looks over at me and goes, "Dude, you made your point." That's all he said, DJ. He goes,
Victory.
"Dude, you made your point." And I go, "For what? What are you talking about?" He goes, I know what you did." He goes, "You don't have to play coy with me." He goes, "I know what you did. You flew me in here in the heart attack to show me that this is what's reality here." So because what we were trying to do, right? And
That's smart
you know,
though,
you
but that's smart. It's
and
smart.
it goes right to wins and losses, is we were trying to say based on transit, and you got to remember, so when this was happening, this was at the beginning of people purchasing things online, like
Yeah.
big products online,
Yeah.
right? You got to think. So if I remember correctly, at that point, Dell Computer was four 4.5 or 5.5 days to
Mm,
refund, meaning
okay.
people would put their credit card in online because Dell didn't
Mhm.
have any stores. Like Dell's only
Yeah.
only sold online. They would put their credit card in, they would buy the computer. So they'd spend, call it $1,000 or 1,500 bucks on a computer. 5.5 days, if that computer didn't show up at the door, they'd refund. Like that was they understood that was their metrics that they were working on. So we
Wow.
had like a 26-hour turnaround from Nashville, 28-hour turnaround from Nashville. We had a 3-day turnaround from Texas. Like no more than 72 hours because it still had to go into like UPS's or Purelator system, then get to the door, right? So,
Mhm.
um, so this was holding back, and this was like we were missing flights, and there was a whole like you got to remember, right? Like we as logistics professionals, we're like, oh, well, we pick up from A and go to B, but there's C, D, E, F, and G that are
Yeah,
all
there. Yeah,
behind it that we really need to understand if we're gonna help our customers reach the goals that they're the metrics, the mandates that they're set to reach, and
exactly.
it was crazy because we were like missing flights, and then I remember seeing the stats. They're like that flight because we missed it was over $260,000 in refunds, right? Like missing one flight because
Holy
when they
cow!
miss the flight to get into UPS's or Purelator systems, you know what I mean? Like it's
Wow.
just it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
consistent
yeah.
rollover. So we think it's like okay, it's traffic, it's going to be a couple hours late, but never really putting into like that was the first time in my life.
Mm,
I was probably at that point, gosh, almost 10 years into my career, maybe kind of somewhere around that time frame. Never once did I put into perspective that end, right? Like one truck is delayed by 7 hours, which is really what it was when you're talking all the way from Windsor, all the way across the 401 to get into like the Mill Creek facility or to get to the airport or whatever it was.
holy cow!
And then get in that facility. That facility's got other trucks coming in. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when you miss that window,
Yeah,
real things can happen. And I remember one time looking at it, it was almost $250,000 in refunds.
that's
And
crazy.
crazy, isn't it?
How long did that last? How long did they keep that program?
Well,
It
so what it was is once we flew JT in, um, everything changed.
ah,
What we did is we backed it up from delivery. And this was the big thing that we'd been trying to tell them for months. And this was like this for me was probably the first time in my career where it was like a unified, how do we do this? Let's become a
mm,
team, a real meet. But it took us
yeah,
flying him in and him landing and seeing it for his own eyes because it's like you don't know, right? Like I've heard
mhm,
about LA traffic, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, it must be. You compare it to your city,
yeah. No,
but is
no,
it 10 times worse? Like I had a
it's
buddy that lived
insane.
in LA and he was like, it is,
Oh, it's
he goes, you don't understand. Like you just don't even bother. Like
I've
don't even
I've
bother.
I've been there. I've been there, and I've been stuck in it. It's
Well, Lisa's
insane.
there.
Yeah,
Lisa and Chad are
well,
there.
yeah,
I mean,
Lisa
they're not
Dallas,
in
but
LA, but yeah. So
it's insane. I mean, and the craziest thing, it's crazy. Just speaking, and we're going way off topic, but speaking of LA traffic, though, so first time we were there, we're stuck in it, and me and Maggie are there, and we're like, oh wow, this is real. And I mean, first off, their highway is like 8 lanes long. I don't know how many damn lanes, but it's not any. There's nowhere in Ohio like that, and every lane, and then it's crazy because then bikes, I guess it's okay, but motorcycles are driving through the cars. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
flying, and I'm like, I was about to get
I don't
over.
know if it's okay, DJ. I think they
I
just
don't
do
know if it's okay,
it.
but I mean, they were boom, and I'm like, whoa, this is nuts. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lisa says you got that right. Not not in LA. Yeah. She says she stays far away. Morning, Jeff. Morning,
Good
brother.
call.
Yeah, so
Morning.
wins and losses, DJ. So wins and losses.
Yeah,
Let's dive
yeah,
into it because there would be a win for everybody watching and listening that hasn't dove into the back end of their customer's business. You
yeah,
know, one question that I used to always love to
absolutely.
ask is like if something screws up, what happens? Like something goes wrong in transit, what happens? We miss what happens. And I think if we understand that as sales reps, it's a win all day long.
Mhm.
Like listen, we're gonna have service failures, we're gonna have things screw up, we're gonna have turbos blow on trucks for all of you that have heard that one before. I gotta go 30 mile down the road because my turbo's blown. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah,
So like all of this, it's what is the C, D, E, and F, and what are the fallouts?
yeah,
Like if we go back to that Dell example, like almost $250,000 refunds from a fallout. Now I don't know what it's like today because I've been out of the Dell computer world forever, but 20 years ago, that's what it was, and it was friggin' insane, like insane. So you wonder why the customer is so dead set on like the customers
yeah.
understand their matrix, right? Their
Oh yeah,
metrics,
oh
like
yeah.
and Dell knew this before anything. Like
That
you
that must
had
have
to
been
order
Dell's
a Dell
answer.
computer.
I got to tell you, you talking about that story, that must have been Dell's answer to Gateway. I don't know if anybody listening remembers the Gateway computer, but that was like that was like the easy. That was my first computer, and so that
Hmm.
was like the easy way to get a computer. But it was like that cowl looking box, and it showed up, and it was like Christmas. But yeah,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, 100%. Nigel says, I heard a great quote today I wanted to share with you. Our service today is the best it has been and the worst it will ever be. What a great way to look at what you are providing.
I
Wow,
love that,
that's
Nigel.
actually really good.
Oh my, yes, I
Really good.
love
Our
that one.
service is the best it has ever been and the worst it will ever be.
So we're improving every day.
I like that. Lisa
I
says that's a
do.
great question. Yeah, Lisa, I mean, big win. You guys want a big win to end the week? Call every single customer and say, listen, I help you with A to B. What is this C, D, E, and F?
Yes.
Or I help you with E to F if you're going from like finished goods to store. I help you to E to F. What's the A, B, C, D, and E?
Hmm.
And how can what you do today or improve on what you do today help them achieve the C, D, E, and F or A, B, C, D, right? And,
Yeah.
and that to me is true partnership. And I don't care if
Agreed.
you're only starting with this company. Like as a professional sales rep, if I don't understand multiple levels beyond when my hands get out of the pot, how do I understand what's being cooked?
Hmm.
Right. And maybe it's just me. Maybe some people are like, Dan, I don't really care. I'm going to go from A to B. And you got a pot of gumbo, and my job is to cut up the sausage. Okay. How do you want the sausage cut? What do you mean? Why? What does it matter? Well, because if everything else is in small chunks and the sausage is in big chunks, you're not going to get a fair ratio of sausage to other stuff. And I'm getting hungry as I'm saying this, but
I know. I
it's
like it. You
I
went
love
to
gumbo.
gumbo, then you went sausage. I'm like, what?
But do you know what
What's
I'm
going
saying?
on?
And some people might not care about that ratio, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do,
No, I
right?
agree.
And it's like, okay, what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? What happens if this happens? And I don't mean like an interrogation, like but it's I think it's mandatory for us as sales reps to fully understand, because then we can at least, as a logistics professional, I can go to my supplier and say, okay, here's the A and B.
Hmm.
Here's kind of C, D, E, and F. If this goes wrong, this is what's going to happen. So can we can you really do this? Is this something that's in your wheelhouse? Because if this goes wrong, this is what happens. If this goes wrong, this is what happens. And it's just like we're going down a rabbit hole we don't want to go down.
Yep.
Like let's take the red pill, not the blue pill.
Well, and I think you hit it right on the head. You said professional, and that I think that is the transition of when you put that head on and want to find out all those other answers instead of, well, what just gives me a commission, but really, how does your deal work? I mean, that's the step into going from just a clerk or a sales rep to, an actual professional sales rep.
But yeah, 100 from an amateur to a pro.
Yeah.
Right?
There you
Nigel
go.
says, knowing the C, D, E, and F is how I made it in logistics. You are so right. Have a great weekend, guys. You too, Nigel. And Nigel,
You
I'll
too.
be in touch because we got to get y'all back on the show, brother.
Yes.
We
I
got to
miss
do a
Nigel.
pond
We need
hopping
Nigel.
experience and get back on here, man.
I know we need a few people back on. Catherine, we need, if she's out there, we need her too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And there's Tyler. Laugh out loud. Can we get this load 7 days in advance and pre-book this to help alleviate spot market costs? Well, no, my raw material is intermodal and it's delayed because all OTR shipments are too backlogged. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. And then Lisa says $800 plus back charge from Kroger for late deliveries.
Wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
And that's another thing, right? Is I remember. So, have you ever dealt with Walmart?
So I've not dealt with Walmart, but
Okay. So Walmart in Canada, um, I'm sure I could say this. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. So years and years, decades ago, I dealt with Walmart, and there was a gentleman there named Ron Evans, and it was $1,000 fine for missing an appointment at Walmart with a
mm,
15-minute window each way.
wow.
Now, don't get me wrong. I know why. You have the volume like Walmart has coming into their DCs.
Yeah.
Again,
And
A,
you need
B,
a tight
C,
ship.
D, E,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
D, E, F, like, and that goes G, H, I, J, K, like that goes way further. So I understand the
Yeah.
concept of it. But I mean, at one point, this man had a stamp with his name on it. Ron Evans, $1,000 fine. Ron Evans, $1,000 fine.
Oh,
Like, and I swear, and Ron, or if this video ever gets back to Ron, I apologize, but I swear it was like an arm on a spring that just went ba-dum, ba-dum, because it
Oh
was
my
like
goodness.
these appointment. I mean, I can't tell you how many I missed, right? How many I missed, and it was, and it, and then it's like lumpers and da 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 da, and it is, and you know, you look at it today, and you look at the volume some of these people bring through their facilities. Like, you gotta be on point. You gotta be the ones that deliver on time.
Mhm.
Now, flip side of it, if I'm there on time and you take 5 hours to unload my truck, not like $1,000 an hour kind of thing, right? But it's
I,
that's a tough one, eh, DJ? Like, it's a tough
it
one
is
to.
because I wish, and you brought up something, and I guess it's hard, but I wish I wish if they did hit hard fees, because I can't remember if it was Save a Lot or GFS or who it was, but they had some crazy fees too. If you're late, like it was ridiculous. And
Mhm.
but at the same time, like you would you would want the flip side. So okay, my guy shows up, well then you have to have a speed too, or you have to have something, or give us some money. Like they don't just charge us. I think
And I think that's what um I was always hoping markets would correct.
yeah.
Like in 2018 when the ELD came in. I mean, when 2018 was really, from what I can remember, the first year with a massive capacity crunch. Like, we've had capacity crunches, we've had dollar influxes and all that have caused issues in capacity. But 2018 was the first time, and I really thought receivers and shippers, a lot of the big ones would come into play and say, "Hey, listen, like, this is a problem we need to get better at." And I don't know if they did. Um,
That's funny you
it's
said that. I thought the same thing. I did. I
mm,
thought, man, this somebody's got like this has to change. Something has to change with this. But yeah,
yeah, and I don't know if it has. I mean, I probably decade and a half ago, I stopped. Like, if a customer said I'm delivering to Walmart, I'd be like, okay, well, have a great day. I'm not interested.
good luck.
It was actually after I got pneumonia, when I started dealing with Chrysler. After I got pneumonia, I just made a conscious decision. I will not deal with the big people, those big wigs. Like if you know, I didn't want to put that on my ops team. I didn't want to put that on the people in my department. I didn't want to put that on my partners, my carriers.
Yeah,
And I know carriers charge a premium to go into these locations because of the strictness and all that. But also, let's call a spade a spade. A lot of these bigger companies were like, well, if you complain about sitting there for 7 hours and I'm not paying you a dime, go screw yourself, because I got 50 million other people in line that are waiting to take
that's
your spot. And it'd be interesting if anyone's out there that is dealing with a lot of these companies. Share your experience now. I'd be interested to see if they've changed that
yeah.
approach, and
I
if
would
they're,
too actually.
yeah, like if
Please.
they're operating more on a uh, we need to partner with our suppliers because now, and I mean, listen, what we're facing now, like since COVID, we've never faced. Like, well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Since I've been in the industry, I've never seen anything like it. Like, ever, 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 when it comes to supply. Like, it's not just capacity. Like, in 2018, there was no issue with supply, meaning
Yeah,
products, commodities, raw materials, and all that. It was capacity to get it where it
yeah,
needed to go. Now we've got a capacity and a supply issue. Like, it's just a
yeah.
compounded
It's
issue.
just yeah,
But I'd be interesting to see if some of these larger corporations, understanding how like mandatory a smooth and efficient supply chain is, have changed their tune. So if any of you have that information, we'd love to you guys to educate us on that. That would be awesome.
yes. Please
So,
share.
DJ, we got a bunch of comments. So why don't we go through the comments, and then we'll
Yeah,
talk. I'll ask you about
yeah,
your
yeah.
win.
Definitely.
So
Yeah,
Tyler says, Maynard's in the States is just as bad. Drop trailer a day before if it's an option. Interesting. Thank you for that. Customer logistic observation. Dig in when things go wrong with your carrier. I would hold carriers accountable, as you mentioned. A blown turbo. Why? I would dig into the carrier PMs. Yeah, maintenance records and power unit. There are exceptions to that are unacceptable. Do not be afraid to dig in. And you know what? I agree with that
yeah,
wholeheartedly, Jeff. I think if you're partnering with somebody,
yeah.
um, it's why wouldn't they? If they were being honest, why wouldn't they say, "Hey, listen, like, here's the." I used to say, "Give me the receipt." I'll send it to my customer, and I would send it to my customer when I told them about the issue. I
Mm.
would say, listen, here's the issue,
It's
but
smart.
I'm
It's
getting
smart
a
though,
receipt.
because you're going that extra step to at least,
But
because look. I mean, you made the joke because let's just say what it is. I mean, most of the time, if a broker takes a load, doesn't have a truck, and doesn't get a truck because they quoted it too low, they come up with some BS. So customers are,
mhm,
clients are hearing this all the time.
mhm. Well, and that's the broker side. On the carrier side,
Yeah,
carrier, might have
they
a
might. Yeah,
driver
maybe
that's
they took a
brand
better
new and
load.
they're afraid of driving in the winter time, and they're afraid to tell you that because they want the load and they don't want to tell you. Like
Yeah,
it's both sides, but I think
yeah.
if there's a partnership, if there's a relationship,
You
Jeff's
got to be
absolutely right.
honest.
They
Honesty and
will
communication
give
key.
you the information. If you
Yeah,
ask for it and they don't give it to you, hey, you know what? Then at that point, that's the creek you're swimming in. The lumper and detention
yes,
gets
sir.
charged 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right on, DJ.
Hey,
Nigel says in the UK we have a company called On Time Logistics who's on this earth, who on this earth would call a logistic company that. Yeah, On Time
you are
Logistics.
high expectations. You are setting the bar
Big
high.
time. Yeah, Walmart, CRDD, and MABD. If you fail, chargebacks up the ass. You must know how to negotiate with your carriers
Mm,
to minimize additional costs. 100%. And
yeah.
I mean, here, yeah, chargebacks. I don't know. I mean, it's not what this show's about, so I won't get
No,
into
no,
it. But
no.
I think there's always three sides to every story. Like, why are they charging back? Here's the reasons. This is what happens to our infrastructure. This is what the delays are. This is what kind of thing. Um, and then on the supplier side, it's like, okay, we've all woke up late. We've all had those issues. We've all been stuck in traffic. We've all left work 15 minutes late. I mean, hell, I remember sitting at my office more times than I can count, and looking up, and going, "Holy crap! It's 3 o'clock." When I had to be at the kid's school at 3:30, I was supposed to leave at quarter two. I'm 15 minutes late, and I'm flying up an 80-kilometer road at 120, and an OPP officer. I'm driving up the road, and I'm like, "Why is there some dude standing in the middle of the road? Like, what it is? It's a cop pulling me over, giving me a ticket." So now I'm even later. You know what I mean?
Oh
But it was like
no.
we've all been in that position, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
you
yeah.
know, yeah, Tyler says Fluke Transport. Yeah, great people, but great name. So DJ,
That is
talk to me,
good. All
brother. Wins and
right.
losses this week.
So wins and losses. I had a very quiet week actually. Nothing too crazy. Um, I guess the biggest win would be for me right now in the talks. Obviously, you're aware of the kind of the back end deals I have going on. Had a conversation for that yesterday, and that it was a very interesting conversation. I'm sure they won't be on but they just I learned it was my mentor who's involved in the deal with me. Just really opened my eyes to some things and kind of helped me progress in a lot of ways. That was probably the biggest win for me.
Cool. So what have you? Again, I'll ask this question because I
How did
know
how
that
did I
you.
implement? Yes, absolutely. It was with this deal. Honestly, it was with this
Jeez, do you
deal.
know me or something? I
I
don't
I
think
I,
that.
I think we're there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, no, I honestly it was with this deal. That's when he kind of congratulated. So we've been in a process. Uh, I don't know if anybody listening has done any kind of acquisition deals, but that's what this kind of is going on, and it's never been involved in something like this, so it's different. And he's really kind of coached me up through it, but it's been my baby, and yeah, it's been awesome. It's been,
Good,
but just
good.
the learning, then
So, but again, how did you implement?
So, well, from yesterday. So we went over just supplies. Actually, this will work perfect. So I won't go into the details because I really can't
Yeah,
obviously go
no, no,
into
one
too
hundred
much.
percent.
But
Yeah.
it really ties to logistics completely. Looking at again, anybody looking at any acquisition deals or merger deals, supply. It all comes back to supply, just like what we do deal with in logistics, and securing your supply is going to be, or your suppliers is the biggest key. And I, looking in this deal, thinking of the amount of business this company does and the potential, I never really kind of focused solely on that, and he really honed me to focusing on that. So we really dove yesterday in conversations, and I made some comments that he when we were done, he was like, "Man, that was really good. I don't know where you even came up with that." And I was like, "Yes, I'm getting it." But and that was, yeah. So was kind of I implemented it. I can't really go deeper than
So
that.
the implementation you can't really talk about. I understand
Yeah,
that, but what you did is you applied the information immediately to what you were doing, and and again,
absolutely. Oh
that
yeah, it was huge. It
application
was
of the
huge.
information immediately.
Yeah, it was huge. So
Sweet.
shout out to Marty. Marty, you're the man. It's yeah.
Sweet. Good for you, brother. Good for you. So we were now 2 weeks where no potty in the house for the new puppy. So
Oh,
I'm
that's a
happy about
big
that.
victory.
Yeah, the new implementation was every
Yeah.
hour, like out every hour, every hour, every hour,
You
like
set a
clockwork.
timer. Some people set timers.
No, I probably should have, because it was a couple of times it was like an hour and a half, but
Mm.
consciously it was every. So I typically, my day is typically broken into hour blocks.
Yeah. Same.
Every hour I get up from my desk, I go and do something. I mean, I might get up in between the hour to get another coffee or whatever, but every hour I make sure, no matter what. So like when I'm sitting down, I'm in the middle of probably the largest presentation deal of my life, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can dive into it and look up 6 hours later, and it's
Uh,
like the world has stopped spinning in my brain. So I'm
yes.
consciously aware. I put an hourglass here, so as I'm staring here looking, or when I'm staring here looking, I could see the hourglass, and I just kind of flip it, flip it, flip it. So every time it runs out of sand, I flip my hourglass over and start again. Whoa, Kenny Chesney,
Oh,
Kenny Chesney.
look at
Um, so
that's a country
did
song,
you
right?
see that?
That's from a
Yeah, yeah,
country
yeah.
song.
Don't blink, don't blink.
Yeah,
A
don't play. No,
great
that's right.
song, one of the best songs on the planet. So,
That
um,
really is.
so yeah, it's been that, and she's doing awesome. I'll deliver a little bit more, but I had a major conversation. It looks like I'm going to start writing for one of the largest news outlets on the planet,
Yes.
for some logistics sales strategies and stuff, and logistics environment in general. So that was a huge win.
Heck yeah.
Loss. Actually, loss that kind of turned into a win and kind of puzzled me was, and some of you might have seen my post, but I got called an ambulance chaser this week, and I was really like, "What the
Oh my
hell is
goodness.
that?"
I'm so
Yeah,
glad you said. I'm so glad you said that. You brought that.
yeah. And
But
to me, it was like to me it was a loss, right? And I'll explain why, because I I'm
I'm going to
very
tell you how I
passionate
seen it was a
about
win after.
helping sales reps. Like very passionate. Our industry sucks at
It
helping
sucks
people become
very bad.
professionals and really raise the bar. And for all of you watching and listening that are my students, you know this. This is my passion. Like, I will go above and beyond every single minute of every single day to make sure my students get the
I've
results
been
that they're
working with him
looking
for
for.
9 months now, guys. It's the truth.
Yeah, and I took it personally, because it was like, and it wasn't as if my email was a, "Hey, this is the best thing since fucking sliced bread, and your company's gonna be shit if you don't do it." It was like, "Listen, here's four major things that these programs do, and that being in this community does for people, for your team. Are you interested in having a conversation?" And all of a sudden I got called from what, personally, and this is the separation that we have to have when we
Have
believe in our product, in our service, in
have
what we
to.
bring to the table. We have to separate it, and it's so friggin' difficult to do that. I remember when I was training a whack of salespeople, I said, "You have to put on a flak jacket every day when you come to work." And man, that bullet went
Thick
right
skin.
through, because I was like, what is an ambulance?" You remember, I went in right into our Slack
Yeah.
group. I asked
Yeah.
another Slack group I'm in, and then I put it out online. And it's like, you chase ambulances to prey on the weak and hurt. And I'm like, first of all, okay, so excuse my rant here, everyone, but
Uh-oh.
first of all, dickhead, are you hurting? I didn't know you were hurting. And excuse me, but maybe you're not, maybe you need to educate yourself, because you're not using it in the right content. And all these thoughts are going through my mind. And so I'm kind of expressing my thoughts here, people. Not that I actually wrote that back, because that's not
You
professional,
should
but
have.
it's like all these thoughts are going through my mind. I'm like, and when I heard what it was, I was like, no, 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 no. You got to be fucking kidding me. Are you fucking, and like everything in me, DJ, not to reply back in a very professional but
I,
tear
I,
you right down to the ground kind of way. And
I believe it. I
I
believe
just
it.
left
But
it, right?
again, here and my win for that, guys. Hopefully you have customers or clients who just say that right away, because clearly they are missing the message.
Missing something.
They
Missing
are
something. So
missing the message. If you want your
yeah,
salespeople to be good, you want them to, I guess, come off as ambulance chasers. So
I don't. Yeah, I guess. Well, you know what? Hayden said, Dan. I think he had a typo. It was abundance chaser. I'm like, dude, you rock that right there, man. So
oh
Hayden,
man,
thank you for that. Lisa
oh,
says, awesome. That's great, Dan. She says, lesson. Yeah, not a loss. Not a loss, right?
that's
And
right.
and so Lisa says, here, have you been talking about crazy gas prices? No, Thomas. Yeah,
Oh
you were
man,
being real raw. You were being real and raw about the industry. Thank you. And I like these two. This guy has blinders on, and here's the big one, and this is the one um, that I think is critical for everybody watching and listening.
this is
As
a
much as
boom.
it hurt me, this is a boom right here. What Lisa says,
Yep,
not my right customer. So it
boom.
is a win. And,
Absolutely.
you know, that right there is the nucleus of everything. And when I understand, and I'm so glad Lisa put that, because this is where it was going. When I stopped and said, forget about the words they just wrote. And again, here's where my head goes. I don't know this person from a hole in the wall. Their kid could have got caught selling drugs yesterday.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't
Who
know.
knows? Could be
I
the
don't know what
miracle of their
happened,
life, and
right?
yeah,
I don't know what's going on in his life. His top sales reps could have just got up and walked out. Lord knows if I had a boss that acted like that, I'd probably walk. Like, this is a CEO of a
you
company.
might have
This
had to
isn't
take a
a
loan out for gas, Thomas. No, I'm just
yeah, yeah, yeah. You might have to take a loan up for gas, but so you have no idea what's happening in their world. And so they come back to us. We're trying to do our job. I guarantee you, if he has any sales reps in his company, or if he's the only person in his company, he's out selling every day. Like, nothing happens till a sale's made, right? And Lisa hits the nail right on the head. Not my customer. And I remember, I think it was probably Lisa and Chad that told me that. They're like, well, it's not your ideal customer, move on. And I'm like, bingo. I go, but it's for us, and even at any level,
it's so hard. It's hard.
it's hard to see through sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that, everybody. Thank you. All right, DJ. That
Yeah,
was
that
fun.
was
That
fun.
was a good
Hey,
session. I
thank you.
like that.
Lisa was all over. Thank you,
Oh,
Lisa.
yeah.
Shout out to Lisa for sure. But thank you, everybody, honestly, for joining us weekly. We love this. It's been so fun, Dan. Literally, another win is just doing this with you. Seriously, it's been so much fun.
I agree with that, buddy. That's
Um,
that's that's if to steal a line from Ghost and Patrick Swayze, ditto, brother.
Yes,
Ditto.
sir. But again, so hey guys, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for just being involved in this and sharing your time with us to listen to a couple crazy guys talk about logistics and sales. So again, like and subscribe down below on Sales Chatter Live. If you aren't on the YouTube channel, please hop over there. And thank you to Daman and American Logistics and Centurion Trucking. Again, you know him. He's been on.
And if y'all didn't see, he was on the news the other day. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you guys would have saw it in the U.S. So Damon and Centurion Trucking were on the news about Thomas gas prices, brother. Yeah, he was sharing some serious information about. I think it was like
I didn't
seven
see
hundred
this.
and fifty dollars more just to fill a tank. So if you look at just
Wow.
the cost of fuel for a tank of gas, has gone up almost $750, I think he was saying, and he's out west. So, like, just like the US, right? Every state has different gas
Yep.
prices, and then you have the averages and stuff. And so obviously this expenditure is, do you buy futures? Do you pre-purchase fuel? Where do you deliver to? Where do you fuel up? Like, but
Yeah.
in the end, he was like $750. So if you think of that for a
Wow.
second, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
insane.
one long trip, $750 extra has just been in fuel.
Yeah.
So if you don't charge $750 more, that's directly out of your operating ratio. And remember what Dean said, like, it
Yeah.
wasn't that there wasn't any freight. It was the fact that
It's
people
the
aren't
gap.
counting for the fuel. As
Yep.
soon as fuel goes to 32% of the line haul cost, companies go out of business. And that's some data to really pay attention to. And for all you professional
Yes.
brokers out there, for all you professionals out there, maybe have those conversations with your key suppliers now and say, like, listen,
especially if they aren't aware of that or they aren't thinking that, that's a huge win.
Because it's funny. I was having another conversation with a gentleman that owns a really reputable company, and I won't say his name just because I've never asked him if I could mention him on air. But we were talking yesterday, and he's talking about his logistics division, and he's like, we're booking orders with these people that was $3,500, 8 months ago, and they want $13,000 now. And he says, Dan, I get it. Driver wages, fuel, but not $10,000 more on the order. Like he goes, I get it, but at what point? And we were talking about prices, possibly coming down, maybe not, this kind of thing. And I said, the fact is, we've got. Can you hear that noise, or is that just me? No. Okay. So we've got, a lot more costs going on, but not to the tune of what the prices have gone up. Yeah. And he's like, Dan, he goes, I get it if I'm calling you out of the blue and you can get that. He goes, but like when you're a partner, oh, you heard it. Okay. So Lisa did hear it. She said she did hear it. So I don't know what it was. Okay. So let's just, hold on. We got some more. Wow. Crazy expensive. I've been getting Dan's notifications in my spam. Okay, well, appreciate that.
Well, thanks for coming over.
Because you're part of Inception, and so maybe if you move that to your inbox and whitelist, it was part of when you first joined Inception. One of the first things was whitelist the email, because that's all your weekly training. That's all your special strategies and tactics and everything that come with it, brother. So if you can whitelist that, that'd be great. Yeah, Jeff, have a fantastic weekend, brother.
Yes, have a great weekend, everybody.
Trickles down to consumers, global inflation, 100%. And then we've got Valerie. Valerie, welcome. Saying no to anyone other. Oh, Valerie hit the nail on the head here. Saying no to anyone other than your ideal client becomes so much easier when you start to see those ideal clients start pouring in after you become clear on who you want to work with. Yes. I say no to way more opportunities than I ever thought, to make room for the right opportunity that always comes next. Boom.
Boom. That's a boom. So we're going to end it on that. I do have a quote, though. I'll take you guys out with a quote, even though, Valerie, thank you. That was freaking, yes.
That is.
She is.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Again, have a great weekend, everybody. See us next week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30. Start your day right with us. Tony Robbins to take us out. No matter... Big T, yep. No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying. Keep trying, guys. Just keep going.
That's good.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information.